Jason walked into his home after a long day at work, his heart light with the thought of seeing his wife Emily, but as he stepped inside, something fell off the air thick with an unfamiliar tension like a storm waiting to break. He set his keys down on the counter, his ears catching the faintest murmur of voices, soft laughter, intimate, secretive, the kind of laughter that didn't belong to casual conversation, but something deeper, something forbidden. His pulse quickened, his body moving before his mind could catch up as he followed the sound, each step heavier than the last. His gut twisted, his breath shallowed, an instinct screaming at him to stop, to turn back, but he could not now, not when the truth was within reach. As he rounded the corner to the living room, his world tilted on its axis, Emily sat on the couch, too close to Mark, his oldest friend, a man he trusted like a brother, their hands intertwined, their bodies angled toward each other, their eyes locked in a way that sent a sharp pain through Jason's chest. His mind scrambled for an explanation, for some excuse, something to make this anything but what it was. But the truth sat there in front of him, undeniable, crushing, suffocating. Mark reached up, brushing a strand of hair from Emily's face, a touch Jason knew too well, a gesture so small yet intimate that it shattered whatever illusions remained. Emily smiled at him softly, a smile Jason once thought was meant only for him, and at that moment, something inside him snapped, the weight of betrayal pressing down like a boulder, but he refused to crumble. Not here, not now. He wanted to yell, to demand an explanation, to force them to acknowledge the depth of their betrayal, but his voice caught in his throat, his hands curled into fists at his sides, his heart breaking into a million pieces as he watched them, completely unaware of his presence. Then Emily looked up, her face draining of color as her eyes met his, her lips parted, but no words came out, only guilt, only fear, only the stark realization that the lie had finally unraveled. Mark turned, his body tensing as if ready to defend himself, ready to offer some pathetic excuse, but Jason didn't want to hear it. His voice, when it finally came, was low, steady, almost to calm, while the word hung in the air, thick, heavy, unbearable. Emily swallowed hard, her eyes glistening with something Jason couldn't decipher. Regret, guilt, maybe even relief. Mark shifted uneasily as if the silence itself burned. Jason stood there waiting for an answer, but deep down he knew no explanation would be enough, no apology would make this right. The years, the trust, the love, it was all gone in an instant, reduced to nothing but a cruel joke. He breathed in slow, deep, steadying himself against the tidal wave of emotions crashing inside him. He thought of the years he had spent believing in something that was never real, the moments that were now tainted, the love that had been nothing more than an illusion. Emily finally spoke, Jason, but he didn't let her finish. He held up a hand, his jaw clenched so tight it ached. He said simply, because there was nothing left to say. Mark took a step forward. Jason, it wasn't, but Jason cut him off with a sharp look, a look that held every ounce of pain and betrayal surging through his veins. Mark had been his best friend, his brother, and yet here he was, standing beside the woman Jason had vowed to spend his life with, like none of it ever mattered. Without another word, Jason turned away. The walls of his home, once filled with love and laughter, now suffocating, a prison built on lies, every memory now a painful reminder of what he had lost. He stepped outside, the cold air hitting his skin, grounding him, reminding him that life moved forward even when hearts shattered, even when the people you trusted the most were the ones who destroyed you. He didn't look back as he walked away. He didn't stop to listen for their excuses or their desperate attempts to salvage what was already broken. There was no fixing this, no going back, only the painful journey ahead. But as he kept walking, he made a silent promise to himself. They had taken enough from him already, his time, his love, his trust, but they would not take his future too. With each step, he felt lighter, stronger, the weight of betrayal still heavy, but no longer unbearable. He would heal, he would rebuild, he would find himself again, and one day when he looked back, this moment, this heartbreak, this betrayal would be nothing more than a distant memory, a lesson learned in the cruelest way. And so he kept walking, never once looking back, leaving behind the ashes of a love that had never truly been his to begin with.